everyone, welcome to week 2. Now hopefully you have watched the week 1 videos and are familiarized yourself with the Visual Studio 2015 environment. Hopefully you understand what the C# programming language is and some of the basic concepts of programming like data types, variables, methods, and different ways to comment your code. Also, I hope you have had a look at the program style guide and familiarize yourself with what's required for this course, like proper naming conventions, use of comments, and whatnot. If you haven't, please go back and watch the videos and take a look at the program style guide before proceeding with this video. So now, if you're ready, let's dive into creating a simple C# console application. This application will take user input values in feet, do a little calculation, and convert it to meters and display it on the console to the user. Simple as that. At this point, no validation is required. That topic will be covered in a later video. Right now, we will assume all input is valid. So if you're ready, and hopefully have Visual Studio 2015 started, let's get going. So for the sake of expediency, I've already got the comments kind of blocked out here. So let's take a look at the top part here. So we've got our standard comment header block up here. So with that, you're going to want to have definitely your developer name or programmer name, whatever you want to call it. So have your name in there, creation date, or the date it's due perhaps would be great. A quick description it would be great, and any other pertinent information you think needs to be up there. So scrolling down here, in the main method here, we've got a few areas blocked out. So the first part of your code, you're going to declare and initialize variables and constants. And the second part will be dealing with input. Third part will be dealing with calculation, or you can call it processing if you want. And of course the last part will be dealing with output. So for this we're going to need 2 variables and 1 constant. The 2 variables will hold the user input and also hold the calculated value. And the constant will hold the number of feet in meters. So let's start off with the user input variable. So that's going to be a double because, of course, anything coming in from the console, in this case, it could be decimal place. So a double will be a very good data type to use. So we're going to use a double data type, followed by the name. So we're going to your variable name. So we're going to call it user input. Assign a default value, in this case of 0.0. And end it with your semicolon. So we're going to tab over a bit and give it a comment here so we know exactly what it is. So this will holds user input. Next you're going to need another double, and you're going to need to have your variable that will hold the calculation. So convert, we're going to call that convert to meters. And of course, remember, this is following camel case, which is outlined in the program style guide for naming convention for variables and constants. So again, holds the calculation. We're just going to keep it simple comments right now for the sake of time. And of course, this is going to be our constant next. So to start that off, use the keyword of const, followed by your data type. And we're going to call this feet in meters. And we're going to assign a specific value of 3.2808, and that's how many feet are in meters. And this is going to say holds the number of feet in meter, if I can spell. Okay, moving on to the next part for input. So now this is when we need to take input from the console. First of all, though, before we do that, we need to explicitly tell the user what it is we want them to enter. So we're going to do a comment here, a prompt user to enter the number of feet to be converted. So to do that, we're going to use console.write. So if you notice, we've got a little pop-up coming up here. That's IntelliSense. So that's Visual Studio predicting what it is you're trying to do. So we're going to use write. You have a choice of write or write line. Write line puts the cursor on the console right at the end of that line. Write puts the cursor of the console at the end of that line, and write line is like hitting enter after the cursor one line down. So we're going to use write in this case. Oops. So we're going to do that. And we'll put the, let's say we'll do please enter, because we want to be polite, so the number of feet to be converted to meters. I'm going to put a colon there, and we'll have a space, because of course we don't want to have the user trying to type, like, smash right up against your previous word. So next we're going to have to convert the value. So convert user input to double. So any information coming in from the console is automatically a string data type. So we need to convert that to a double to store it in our variable. So to do that, we start off with the variable we're going to use, so user input. And we need to use keywords here, convert, and the method to double. And then we need to use console.readLine, which reads that particular line in from the console. And of course, end it with our semicolon. So again, this will read in from the console and converts it to a double, storing it in the user input variable. So now on to our calculation. So this will divide user input by number of feet in meters. You don't have to get this detailed, but I will. And round to 2 decimal places. So we're going to call our convert to meters variable. And so first off, we're going to do user input and divide that by our constant feet in meters. But we're not done yet, because remember we said we need to round it. So what we need to do is we do math.round. We call that method. And we encase this calculation in brackets. So right now by default this will round to 0 decimal places, but we need to specify 2. So right in at the very end of our constant here, we'll put a comma, and I'll put a little space in, and then we specify 2. So if you wanted to do 3 or 5, you can just change that value. Very easy. So that specifically tells it rounded 2 decimal places. So again, user input divided by feet in meters, rounded to 2 decimal places, and stored in our convert to meters variable. So now that that's done, all we have left is to work with the output. So let's output result to the user. So to do that, we're going to use console.writeLine this time. We'll do writeLine. We'll do quotes. But first of all, we're going to concatenate the user's original value. So we want it to say whatever the number of feet that the user inputted equates to however many meters it's calculated. So we're going to do concatenate the variable here. We're going to do user input. And to concatenate the value onto a string, we do the little plus sign. I like to put spaces in for readability. And we have to put a space here, otherwise our value is going to be smushed right up against the word feet. So feet equates to another space, so we don't have it smushed up there, plus our concatenate, convert to meters. That's our calculated value. Concatenate again. And oops, lost my cursor there. Have another space, so meters, and period. So there we go. So this will display the number of feet initially entered equates to whatever the calculated value is into meters. So we'd think we'd be done there, but programs are pretty dumb. You need to explicitly tell them what to do. So we actually need to pause the console before we can continue. Now to do that, we have 2 steps here. So we've got console. We're going to use console.read read key, excuse me, and this will, whatever the user ends up hitting next on the keyboard is what's going to end the application. So pause to read key, And before we do that, the user doesn't realize how they're going to be able to get out of this. They don't understand, what needs to be done. So in order to tell them, we got to prompt the user to press any key to exit. And of course, I'll just steal this from up here for sake of expediency again. So we're just going to say press any key to exit. So we have to tell them what to do to get in the console, and then of course, so that they can do what we need them to. So just a quick recap on this. We've got our variables and our constant, all nice and declared. Everything's named correctly in camel case with our data types and our constant. We've got some nice comments in here. We prompt the user to enter the number of feet to be converted. Convert that value coming in from the console. Read that into our variable input, user input variable, converting it to a double. Next, we do our calculation, and then of course we output the final result to the user and pause the console, waiting for any key press on the keyboard. So let's run the console application. So to do that, you can either click Start up at the top here, or hit F5 on your keyboard. So here's our console application. So please enter a number of feet to be converted into meters. So let's do 20.5 just for fun. So 20.5 feet equates to 6.25 meters. And of course we have to press any key to exit. And that's it. Your first successful console application. So I hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video.